Hey guys, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in for another Halo 5 Forge video. So the Monitor's Bounty update dropped the other day, and with it brought a lot of changes. I mean a lot. Over 650 of them. Some of the pieces that we got in Forge are actually used in the waterfall behind me. I put together a showcase canvas to give you an idea of some of the things that are now available to us, so let's get started. I couldn't just show some of the new Forge objects without first touching on the new canvases that we got, which are pretty great. This first one here is Barrens, and it's centered in the middle of the desert. It really gives you that dry feeling, and it has some pretty great skyboxes as well. Now the second map, Depths, is completely underwater, which is a first for the Halo series and for Forge, because as everyone knows, Spartans can fall from space, but they can't swim. Okay, so we're back in Forge, and we're going to start by taking a look at the billboards we have. We have 9 additional billboards. The first one was the Warthog billboard. These are great if you want to build a city map, and some of them are kind of comical. We've got the full stack ground pounder here, which has 2 times the space cheddar and 100% grade A MOA. Then moving on, you've got the space elevator. You've got just a civilian vehicle one. You've got this Gauss sparkling lemon, kick your tongue in the face. Of course, you've got a Master Chief billboard because, well, you just need that. Great crates, low rates. Then you've got a Griffball League. Then this one is Escape, and it's sponsored by the Reach Tourism Board, and it's tattered, so that's kind of funny. Then you've got this last one here, which actually has a QR code that's an Easter egg, and if you scan that, it'll take you to HaloWaypoint.com. Now, speaking of Easter eggs, there's actually one put in the game that's a nod to Andy Didinsky, the senior producer of Halo. And his nickname is also Bravo, and one time somebody misspelled his name as Barvo, so if you go down to any channels, scripting or teleporters, like here, you'll see it says Barvo. It just kind of became a running joke, and so that's pretty cool that they put that in here. Now, moving on, we're going to go down here. We're going to start with this. If you look right here, this floor looks really slick. That's because we got a new overlay called Schlack, and it just makes everything look really shiny. You can see I've applied it here to this sculpture I've made. This also has another overlay on it, and it's the emissive overlay, which basically does what it looks like, just emits light, and you can scale it from 1 to 100 in brightness. It's pretty cool, and I can see some pretty good uses for this. Now, here's something that's really awesome that they added in. They added in a bunch of lights because they had seen that forgers had been trying to make light beams using the lights, and it just wasn't working the way that you would want to, the draw distance and such. So they went in there and implemented a ton of lights. You've got these wide beams of light right here. It also comes in a narrower version, and then over here you've got the plasma beams. And they even added in some glows. You've got 15 glow effects, and in total I counted 56 of the beams, so for each category. I think they even added an insect light into the group as well. And then we have lighting for the UNSC Pelican and for the Covenant Phantom. We've got 10 lighting pieces for the Pelican, while there are only 3 for the Phantom, but they're still all pretty cool. This one right here is actually a Tripmine light, and the fact that it beeps is pretty cool. Moving on up to here, we finally got an open version of the Phantom, and these are all the pieces that you can add on to it. Going inside here, you can see it's pretty cool. You got the handles up there, I guess, that Covenant would hang on to. Going back down here, we have an anti-air wraith now, which is pretty awesome. You could make your own before, but now we finally have one in the game for us to use, and it's pretty powerful. Then coming over here, we've got the Oni Wasp, and then we've got the Hannibal Wasp, which is just incredibly powerful, both of them. And the biggest thing of all that we have is, you see I'm running into things here. If I go back into Forge, we have invisible vehicles. Now, I'm assuming these were made for vehicle welding. I'm not quite sure how it works because I haven't had another person in the game, but these are all the invisible vehicles we have. You can see we have the Gun Goose and the Mongoose, then several versions of the Warthog. We've got the Mantis, a Scorpion, a Ghost, a Wraith, then the Phaeton, and the Banshee. Now, another thing that we have added in the game, which is pretty cool, is we have some more vehicles. We've got a truck, I guess a garbage truck of sorts, and then we have this Master Chief unicorn van, which I actually took one of the Warthogs, which you probably just saw, and made it into a drivable vehicle, and that is actually a prefab now as well. Now moving on to here, we got a bunch of Sangheili stuff. These are all the glyphs that you have in the game. Some of them are pretty cool, like this one's a needler, and then you've got this one right here, which is twins. And yeah, that's about it for those, because that's all we have for now. Then you've got a bunch of Sangheili pieces. Of course, we've got the huge elite statues. We've got some keyhole doorways. We've got our banners here, some more pieces, smaller keyholes. We've got a tent. Then coming down here, we have a fire pit, and we have a console. Then these are just two lighting accent pieces we have. Over here, these are all the gold trims. And that wraps it up for all the Sangheili stuff. Now we also have the classic grid that was introduced, and these are all the sizes you can have of that, so if you're building a classic style map, those are great for that. And then moving down here, we've got some really cool sound effects that they added. We have crickets and various other sounds. We've got ones for UNSC doors, we've got ones for underwater, we've got sonar ping and pulse. A lot of the underwater ones were added because of depths, which is pretty cool. Now moving on to here, we've got the Werneck or Wernicke. You can pronounce it different ways. I'm not sure, I think it might be German in origin. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this is just a vehicle launcher, and it's pretty awesome, and there are two versions. This one is actually scriptable. And here we have some more scriptable pieces. Then coming over here, we've got the scriptable pistons. And then over here, we've got a lot of new scripting stuff. This is the really cool stuff. These right here that you see are targets, and they can be interacted with, so if you shoot them or hit them, they can send a message to do something else. That's another thing. The way messages and conditions and stuff are different now, but I think they did make it simpler, so once you finally get the hang of it, it works great. Also, movement is much smoother now, so before if you had something move offset, it could be kind of jittery. Now it's a lot smoother. The new thing we have are these hinges and joints. On the left side, we have the simple ones, and on the right side are the advanced ones. I'm not quite sure what the difference is yet because I haven't used them, but I will get around to that and maybe potentially make a video. Then we have right here, we've got joint concealers. Not quite sure how these work either, but they're pretty cool. I'm imagining they're hollow on the inside or something. And you just got different sizes of those. Now these, I'm assuming, are just standard pipes, but they are listed under joint concealers. Moving over here, we have Tripmines. We have these two, which are specifically scriptable. We have the anti-vehicle and the anti-infantry. Then we have our custom power-ups, which are all scriptable. Now they've given us a standalone flag and the ball, which we can script. And then we have these colorable scripting brains. And then, as I already said, these are targets we have. Moving along, we have the classic style crates that we had in Halo 3, so anyone who wants to edit their Foundry remake if they have one, these crates will be more fitting for that. Then we have these cool things here, which were part of a coding hackathon. They're called pyramids. They're pretty interesting. There's only a couple of them, but you could probably make something pretty neat with those. Then moving on here, we have our Forerunner structures and little pieces. We all noticed this one from the multiplayer map. You've got some lighting accents, platforms, and some covers. There aren't too many of those, but they are pretty neat, and combining them with blocks, you can make a pretty awesome Forerunner map. Now moving down here, this update also introduced the grenade launcher. You've got the Pro Pipe, which is pretty cool. You can fire it relatively quickly. And then, of course, you've got the regular version of that. So one thing that they added in were the shop gates because they know we've been wanting fences for a while. I don't think they could quite fit it in. but they did manage to give us these, and these are great and quite useful. And now we also have benches in here, this smaller bench right here, which is more like a seat, and then this double wide bench. So those are great because if you were trying to make a bench before, you could use up a lot of pieces doing so. Then of course we have our destructible walls and vents and doorways, which were from the campaign. We have this new creature tank that you can destroy, and the way that animates and breaks apart is just pretty awesome. So right here is just all the destructible pieces. Here's some Covenant destructible pieces. I'm not sure if we already had them before, but I felt like including them because I thought they were pretty neat. Now moving over here, we have the regular version of the Work Wrecker, the one you're not meant to script. As you can see, you can change the primary and secondary colors, and I chose yellow and black as a sign of caution, and this thing is a lot of fun. As you'll see, this thing just launches me way up there. This mongoose is gone. It's really fun to use with any vehicle, and especially Spartans. Now moving over here, of course, we have the natural pieces that are shaded for whichever new canvas you're on. This one being Barrens, and this one being Depths. Then over here we have some more breakable pieces that are stalactites. We've got them in the glacier form and in the Barrens form, so those are pretty awesome and could add something pretty neat to a map. Now moving on to here, more natural stuff we got going on. We've got 3 different types of kelp plants. Then we've got these alien funnels, which are pretty cool, and there's a glacier version of that. We've got these alien trees right here. Then they added in a bunch more plants, which is pretty awesome. They've got these blooms and melons, which would make a pretty interesting version of infection, flood pods, and stuff like that. You got different plants, you got wisps, you've got some more alien type trees. And then, of course, you have the flag, which we already had, but over here we have some plant vines. They added some dried vines, which are pretty awesome. We had just the ivy before, but now we've got both, so it'll be really great for mixing and matching the two. Right here we've got some more types of dried up vines, which is nice to have variety. And then right here we've got different types of flowers. We've got the agave, and we've got aloe, and those are just pretty cool. They're nice to accent rocks or whatnot with. Now, because I have so many lights on this map, the FX budget is ridiculous, so I need to shut this off real fast. Doing so lowers the FX budget back down, and then you'll be able to see the other FX that we've gotten. Now, this waterfall that I made here uses some of the splashing water effects that we got. Specifically, I think that they were introduced because of depths, but they could work well on pretty much any map, I guess, depending on what you're doing. And so I have some of those in there. And you can see right here, this is the largest one. The Forge team was pretty generous in creating FX specific for the new canvases. We got 13 for Barrens in different sizes and 20 for depths in different sizes. So if you look over here, you can see we've got this large bubble wall. Then we've got some large fish right here, which is a pretty awesome effect, especially for depths being underwater. And then you've got different size like dust storms and stuff like that, and sandstorms, which are perfect for Barrens. And then lastly, on top of the waterfall, we have our crab creatures, which are new. As with the other creatures we have, there are several different sizes, and if you grab them and slam them against the rocks, they will definitely make different squeaking sounds, which is pretty funny. That wraps up this video, guys. If you want to see all 650 additions to Forge, I'll have a link to that in the description. I couldn't cover them all, but hopefully you enjoyed the ones that I did show. I thought they were pretty cool. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and I'd really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for more great content like this from Halo and other games. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, links to that in the description. And as always, thanks for watching.